Alrighty, today we have some different type of content. Today we're just gonna talk. We're just gonna talk, and we're gonna basically, yeah, on the state of Arcanists. We'll talk about anything really, but oh, first topic. We did get Supreme March, as you can see. I'm wearing a donut costume. You might be wondering why I'm wearing a donut torso. It's because the Supreme March cosmetic really is just a fire cape. I mean, you get a staff, but it's really lackluster. So this is the LTS staff. It's one of the old Archmage staves. But you get this fire cape, and I'm wearing the donut torso because it's actually not very visible on other torsos that you might wear. So it's a pretty bad outfit, I think, for the hardest achievement in the game. But I just I guess I'm just gonna have a little hole inside of me for the time being until that gets remedied. But yeah, we got Supreme Archmage. Um, so that's pretty cool. On the topic of Supreme Archmage, man, that shit was hard. That shit was really hard. Um, the LTS journey was just horrific, I think, if I'm being honest. I feel like the LTS journey was just, ugh, I don't even want to talk about it. I got, I want to say like 3 times, give or take. I was very close to getting LTS Arch, and then I just like was like 1 or 2 games off, and I just lose and playing Cryo or Slim Bill or whomever, and you just lose. You lose like 5, 6 games of progress, and you just have to win streak over and over again, and it's so annoying. But yeah, we got that. This dragon head is part of the LTS arch, and the staff is also part of the LTS arch. The only thing you really get for HTS arch is well, I'm wearing nothing from HTS arch because believe it or not, HTS is like horrific in terms of like the cosmetics you get. You get like a cowboy hat. I'll show you guys that in a little bit. But yeah, you get this like really lackluster cowboy hat. And I know I'm kind of hating, but this is supposed to be like, some of the best stuff you can get in the like. This is the hardest achievement you can get in the game by far. So, ooh, that's so sexy. That drop is so sexy. But this is the hardest achievement you can get by far. So the fact that like it sucks, I mean, that's not good, right? Oh shit. But all right, that's a good timing to show you guys the other fits. So here we have really get this staff, but it's way too show offy and it's kind of like played out. So I think this is the best one. Um, I have these tournament points, but I'm not using them. Again, I want to talk about like we really have a lack of incentives in this game. Like I don't even wear an offhand because all the offhands really suck. But we have like a bunch of main hands, and it's just hard to like you don't even know which main hand to wear because there's just so many of them, and then there's like zero nice offhands. There's this guitar, but it kind of messes with the aesthetic a little bit. But yeah, for HTS Arch, if you manage to get High Times Archmage, you will get this hat right here. So on a normal looking head, it'd be just be like this. And I mean that's like it's something, but I mean come on. No one's gonna be asking you how you got that. Some people have asked me like, how do you get the dragon head? And I've had to tell them like you have to get LTS Arch. And then they ask me like, what is LTS? It goes to show like we really need to work on player education because it's really in the shitter. But no one's ever asked me how do you get this hat right here. No one. Within like a day of wearing the dragon head though, I was like asked I think 3, 4 times. How do you get that? But no one's. I swear I wore this for like a few weeks when I got HTS Arch. No one asked me anything. Um, but yeah, on that note, I really hope. I know I'm not partaking in season 21. Really, the incentives are not there, man. Incentives are not there. It's a time-consuming thing to be in these tournaments. Um, I have like my tournament points. I have a bunch of staves from tournaments. There's nothing I really want. It's just like, what's the point? That's how I see it. It's just like there is 0 point. It's just kind of like for fun, and then it's like okay, it's just for fun. Like you don't have to like play for anything. But then it's like okay, well, who are you playing? Well, there's no one good signing up either in these tournaments. I know like in the last few HTS tournaments, at least Harpo was able to, pretty much clear the field with most people except me. He would get second place a lot, but I don't think even he's partaking in season 21. I don't think Nev's partaking. A lot of the people that would typically place higher up in these HTS tournaments, they're not really partaking. Falcos, he's on his little strike. Free Falcos. I still don't know like why he'd have to get banned or whatever, but come on now. On that note, yeah, we got Supreme Arch, and I am a donut now because I'll show you guys. Like if I wear most torsos, really the fire cape is going to be too much covered. And I've always told Pure and like everyone, I've been very public about this. I feel like the fire cape at least should give you some sort of cool effects. Maybe like some sort of static lightning here on the side that's like recolorable. Maybe some sort of like morning sunlight. Just something. But right now it's just horrible. Honestly. It's like you wear this. I play all the way zoomed out. I don't know about you guys, but I play all the way zoomed out. And you gotta really zoom in to like make out, oh, there's like something going on back here. Now, with that said, you would really just be creating cosmetics for one person, me right now. And I don't think that's changing anytime soon. I was talking to Cryo, and I was like, you're probably the next closest person to Supreme Arch. But then when we were discussing with each other, it was more like, yeah, that might take you like 5 years or so. I'm not even kidding. I think, if I'm being honest, for let's say Cryo is the closest one to Supreme Arch, right? Let's go through the high scores really quick. So where is he at in LTS? He's at 2060 LTS. Man, this is a really tough ladder. This is a really tough ladder with the current player base at least. And it doesn't look like the rating pool is changing much. Doesn't look like Steam's changed too much. People talk about rate inflation, but really, we're not seeing too much of that. I think, like you contrast like rank 1 to like 15. It's not like everyone's really inflated too much. This guy's a rusher, so he's gonna be like high variance, inactive. Then there's like Slim Bill. He's always hovering around 2-1, 2-2. Inactive. Pretty inactive. Like more than half of this list is just inactive. And then, including me, really, I'm not going to be active for a while. Then it's like, okay, he's got, I guess, these two to play off of, and I suspect I'll just trade between 2-2. You got to really like become better. He has to become vastly better than, let's say, Slim Bill or whatever, to climb off of him consistently and like drop both of his accounts. And Cryo's biggest weakness, definitely like that mental consistency. He can be really on like Archmage tier 1 game, and then next game he'll just throw, and you can't consistently climb like that. And I've seen that in tournaments. I've seen that in rated. So, that's just how he is. Like he gets mentally very inconsistent. And then you have like people like this. Jesus Christ, 2,000 games, but he's always going to just be like bouncing back and forth because, if your strategy is just trying to rush someone and catch them off guard, you're not like training your fundamentals. You're just going to go back and forth based off what the median is of the opponents you play. But yeah, So this is gonna take a long time. I suspect for him to get 2.5 in this ladder, maybe 2 years. I think maybe a year and a half. I think he's closer to this than this one. Swifty69, oh, newcomer. But I think for this ladder, this one's not easy either. This one's actually pretty hard. Let's see. Inactive, might be a little active. Newcomer, I guess he could be active. Inactive, he's active. Inactive, rush, inactive, I guess kind of active. Either way, I think if I'm being honest, for Cryo to get Supreme Arch where he's at right now, I think it will take him 4 to 5 years, if I'm being like perfectly honest. And that's if they remove the party mode requirement. If they remove the party mode requirement, 4 to 5 years. If they don't, could be 10 years. Maybe not 10 years, but maybe like 7 years for Cryo at least to get Supreme Arch. Yeah, so, and I think he's the second best candidate right now. We haven't really seen too much promise in like some of these new Steam prospects. So I do feel like, yeah, I think it's going to be 5 years until we see another Supreme Arch. Probably in either ladder, just for like Archmage in general. Might be like another year to 2 in both. And then obviously like combining that with party mode being like a hit or miss, depending on if Pure removes that requirement. Yeah, I'd say about 5 years or so. Oh, one more thing I wanted to touch on. So as you see, I've permanently muted myself. I get PM'd a lot. It's like, why are you muted? Why are you muted? Why are you muted? I've asked to be muted because, it's come to my attention that, I am under a microscope. I understand that, but my logs get, like everything, like my games get read, or like is under a microscope constantly. My logs are under constant microscope. The things I do is like always under constant microscope, and I get it. Given my status in the game or whatever, it's kind of annoying to be honest. But I get it. But I would appreciate it if I PM someone, it's kind of private, unless like I abuse them or something and they report me. So I'm pushing Pure to hopefully add privacy to this game so that when you PM someone, you're not going to be like stalked basically. So I'm trying to raise awareness. It's like a little online hunger strike, so to speak. So I've asked to be permanently muted to hopefully raise awareness to, some mods. I'll be honest, they don't really have much better to do. And I don't blame them. If I was in their shoes, I'd probably stalk me too. But yeah, they just want to like stalk people, and that's like their fun. Yeah. But beyond that, so yeah, I hope that Pure changes that. I hope he makes it so like, okay, you send in a report, last like 50, 100, whatever, chat logs get sent, and that gets reviewed, which I think is like the system in place for like a lot of games. Just giving like unlimited read access so that people can just change, and it might even be write access, I don't know, so that people can just change like logs and stuff. It's kind of weird to me. But so what have we covered? We've covered Supreme Arch, competitive incentives. There are none. That's why like a lot of these top players are inactive, and I guess that's not a priority for Pure, if I'm being honest. Like he could do very simple little things. Like, for instance, he can allow people to convert tournament coins into like those diamonds that you get on the Steam shop, right? Some of these cosmetics are way, 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 way cooler than what you can get in tournaments. Like even if you converted 1,000 tournament coins, right, to like these diamonds, that's like what, $10 worth? It's like all right, you're gonna invest weeks, maybe months of your time to win $10, but that's not even given to us, right? Like what's given to us is like really, really sub tier cosmetics. So the incentive systems are like absolutely terrible right now. Um, but hopefully that changes. I know Pure is like he gives in a little too easily sometimes to pressure. So maybe if this video goes out, Pure will maybe make some changes. I maybe to the fire cape, add some pizzazz to it, um, and whatnot. But I just think it's just never been his priority. Like he doesn't get up and think. At least when it comes to Arcanists, he doesn't think to himself like, how can I make my game more competitively appealing? It kind of just like go with the flow of like whatever pops up on Discord. So, you know, I'm kind of pessimistic for the game's future in some sense because we've seen the Steam launch go through. We've had a lot of like internal bullshit, but from my vantage point, I just don't see the game growing, as it is right now. And that's like, I guess it's a letdown, but it's also kind of like a wake up call. Like, hey, um, you know, you saw it through the Steam and now it is what it is, right? So it's not like there's that big what if of like, oh, what if Steam happens? What are we gonna do? So there's that. But yeah, it'd be cool if, from a competitive point of view, there were more incentives, both for rated and for tournaments, so that there's more participation. I know some people might want money as participation. For me, it's not personally like a big motivator unless it's like $1,000 or more, honestly. I know that variable is different for some people, but if like a smaller amount is viable for some people, then for me, the motivation has always been like competition. And one of the reasons I didn't join season 21 is just like it seems like another new tournament with some mid players just kind of sprinkled inside of it. No diss to any of the participants, but like that's how it feels like. And also, 30 Ocean doesn't really seem like the most competitive setting in some ways. Although that's like the last part of it, but definitely it's just like it kind of seems lackluster from a participation point of view and from an incentive point of view. So I'd rather spend my time doing something else. But yeah, I still love the game very much so. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got into pre-March and spent a lot of time doing that. Let me show you guys the staff because I don't think you guys have seen the staff. On some color variations, it's not terrible. You have like this little glowy effect. Although I do wish the effects were like a little better. Yeah, a little more animated, like the LTS staff, at least. But it's not terrible. Not the worst. But definitely doesn't like scream, oh my god, like what the hell is going on? Which I think you would think your hardest achievement in the game would scream that, but no. Definitely does not scream such a thing. It's kind of newbie, to be honest. But one thing, like, you might be asking why am I in sandbox like this? Before, like, high-end, like, especially tournament games, I'd always practice. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to hit the whistle bomb, like, right here. And then I would go in, and I'd practice my aim like this. So, yeah, this is, like, kind of what I used to do so I can get into flow state. And I think getting into flow state was really helpful for, like, high-stakes games, especially LTS games, where your skill shots and whatnot matter a lot. So I think flow state was very useful there. For HTS, I feel like it's more like just mental clarity is important. But for LTS, I think flow state's very important, which is why a lot of people don't spam games. They'll take breaks and whatnot, which I don't, but it's a weakness of mine. Oops, I missed that. Anyways, what else is on the agenda? Okay, balance. Let's see. Oh, someone told me, I think like a week ago or something, maybe a few days ago. It was like about nerfing Pegasus or something, and maybe Tree or whatever, making them 4 uses. On that note, I think if you do something like that, you'd have to make all like pretty much every spell 4 uses. If I'm being honest, reason being is that let's say you nerf the generic SS mix or whatever, all you're really gonna get is a mix like this coming back, which can be even more like ugh, like in its own ways at least. You're gonna get mixes like this coming back, where the turn cycles are used on basically aerials while hiding on the sides and whatnot. So I don't think changing spells like Pegasus or Tree or whatever makes sense in isolation. If you do want to make a move like that, you'd have to, even spells like Rain of Arrows, you'd have to make like 4 uses. If you really want to go down that route, if you don't go down that route, what you're inviting is power creep by basically less strategic spells, I want to say. Because Pegasus can be used in very strategic ways to stall out the game, and it does kind of force the other player to really know how to close if they want to properly deal with it. So yeah, I mean, you could go for that nerf, but every single spell, honestly, from like Mud's already 4 uses, but you're talking like Pixies, Rain of Arrows, hell, even like your Sky Rays and whatnot. At least starting with all the summons, right? So at least like your Pixies, which you wouldn't even need more than 4 uses there, but a lot of things would have to change. And you'd be buffing Rush, obviously, if you nerf something like a Pegasus. Although, if it's 4 uses only, you'd be buffing more like a mid-range Rush type of book, not like those super greedy Ice Bomb rushes, because typically you don't need more than 4 Pegasi for that. But against some like mid-range book that does go to like, let's say turn 40, 45, and then you wear them out supposedly, it would buff those kind of rush books. So yeah, we've covered a few things. I have a lot more free time now that I don't play the game super actively. But what have we covered? We've covered Supreme Arch, and it's been kind of anticlimactic getting it. Definitely doesn't like pop out or anything, but it is what it is. It's not a priority. Again, like the way I see Pierre's direction on the game, it's not like he prioritizes or deprioritizes competitive play. It's more like he just prioritizes whatever people say in Discord. And that's cool and all, I guess, when you're starting off. But for him to actually take this game anywhere meaningful, if we're talking like thousands of players and it's like really active, it's really going, it's got like this competitive community, and it's not just like some casual game for like 100 people across the globe. If it's like a real community, it's not just like some gossip hour for like 20 Discord mods. Then he has to really take initiative and say, okay, this is my vision for the game. These are going to be my priorities. He might have to invest some money into it on his own, hire some people, not just rely on like community artists that can, who knows, potentially, we saw what happened with C-Arc, right? Like people can blackmail you or do other things and say, hey, I want this or that. You're using my art. Just hiring people, man, like, it goes a long way, right? When you're relying on free labor, it's not really free. People have certain expectations for power or basically just, getting ahead in some ways and getting access to certain things, which is also like part of the reason I'm pushing for, clawing back a lot of the mod powers. I think getting access to everyone's PMs and just, playing Gossip Girl all day long in Discord it's not very fruitful for the game or like the community or anything like that. So I think privacy is important on that front. And that's not even talking about any of like particular mods or anything like that. That's a whole different can of worms. But yeah, right now, you know, we celebrate rank one on every ladder. When will I come back? If someone gets really high, maybe Cryo gets to like 2.4k, 5k, sure I'll play him. But for now, I don't think I'll be playing, at least not on my main, foreseeably for like a while. Maybe I'll join the next LTS tournament. It depends when it is and like my life schedule and whatnot. But expect me to be much less active. But I'll still be like kind of in the background, you know, hanging out. You can probably just DM me on Discord if you have any questions on anything. But yeah, it's been cool. If you guys have any like other conversation topics, maybe I can do one of these videos like every couple weeks on the state of Arcanists. It's my favorite game, my only game. I don't really play games. I'm not a gamer or anything like that. It's just this is like a fun game for me. I grew up with. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, next 5 to 8 years we have another Supreme Archmage, and hopefully, hopefully this game can really go somewhere beyond the 100 to 200 like daily active people. But Pure is gonna have to really take some leadership initiative for that to happen. Maybe really think about, you know, how he wants to see his game, or at least be transparent with us if this game is like a side project for him and he just doesn't give a shit, which is totally valid. We live in a capitalist society, free market, right? So if he just like does not give a shit and he just wants this game to be like a little social club and he doesn't really care about competitiveness or anything like that unless like people push him towards that realm, then that's cool. Some transparency would be nice. In the meantime, since we're definitely not getting any competitive incentives, hopefully he can fix, you know, some of these fire cape outfits for me. I love you, Pure. Pure's a great guy, by the way. Like I gave a lot of criticism in this video, but I think he's actually a really honest person. And that's not to say I think the same for like some moderators and some people like internally, but Pure alone, individually, he's a little too honest, so he can be like pushed over in certain ways. I've seen him make changes abruptly for like some drunk guy comes in at 3 a.m. high 1v and say, oh, can we change this or that at like 3 a.m. and he'll make the change. So sometimes he's a little too nice, but yeah, I think he's gonna have to really just put his head down and figure out what he wants this game to look like. If it's just like a small side project, then so be it. But it's been fun. The climb's been fun. So we'll see how everything goes. But yeah, I'll just be chilling. Maybe make one of these videos every couple weeks, few weeks, maybe every month. I don't know. And feel free to reach out, say hi. You know, don't be a stranger. And that's about it. Take care, y'all.